This empty chair represents the addict who died today, not knowing recovery was possible.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Empty Chair. Every now and again, we like to put a face, well, we don't like to. We put a face on the empty chair. I've been fortunate enough over the years to meet so many people that have been willing and courageous enough to come on our show. And Lou, I'm having trouble getting a picture here. Yeah.
All right, I'll come in and check.
Hey, thank you. Anyway, I've been fortunate enough to meet some amazing people. And as much as we like to have the show about, the success stories of recovery and everything like that, the truth of the matter is, this is also a big reality of it. So even though there's good things going on, we still losing a lot of young individuals. So tonight, I not only have a courageous lady here, but also I'm happy to say a very good friend. And my guest is Helen Sheehan, and I'm excited to have her here. She's a nervous wreck, but I'm gonna take care of that in no time.
Just give me 5 minutes, people. I'll be ready and warmed up.
All right, Helen. Again, I do thank you for coming, and Helen lost her son, Emman.
Yeah.
In
2019.
2019. And we're going to get into that. But first, I want to let Helen talk to you a little bit about what Emman was like. Emman. I'm gonna pronounce
Listen,
it.
Depends on what continent you're
Why
on.
couldn't you just call them Bill?
I don't know. I called him a lot of things.
I'll bet you did.
No, actually.
Anyway, why don't we talk a little bit about before his earlier days before he got involved in any substances?
We're Irish, so it's Emman. If you're in Ireland, it's Emman over here because I like the way it sounds better, just so that you know.
Okay, well, I got on my green shirt, so I'm going to call him Emman.
Emman was I always refer to him as if you had to raise a child as a single parent, he's the one you wanted. I just, typical boy, loved to be outdoors, did not like to be sitting down, so we'll get to the difficulty in school in a little bit.
All right, just let me interrupt you 1 second.
Sure.
Those of you who are out there listening, if it's okay, I want to devote the first half hour of our show to Helen's story. And then the second half hour, we're going to be talking about what she does. And please, at that time there, feel free to give us a call. We'd love to hear from you, and I know Helen would. Yeah. So sorry to interrupt.
No, that's not a problem. I told you beginning of the show, nothing's off limits. If you have a question, you think it's going to be difficult for me to answer, I'd still appreciate you doing it for me.
Not a problem.
A few tears and a box of tissue right here, people, so I'm ready for you. But I think it's really important. I think part of getting rid of the shame and the stigma of the whole situation is talking about it. And I have no shame in my son. I am not embarrassed at all to say that this is what happened to him. We judge people on what they're addicted to as opposed to they're addicted. And you can't get up in the morning and not have a cup of coffee. You're addicted. I mean, you're addicted to coffee. We're addicted to cigarettes. And even alcohol, it's even more acceptable. So why we beat so much on the addict that is addicted to drugs, I'm not quite sure. But my organization is working towards trying to change that.
Okay.
So my son was a good kid. He was a single parent. His dad chose not to be in our life early. Like, he never met him.
Okay.
And, I always thought the best thing to do was to, stay home and stay focused and not do the dating thing and, try to bring in positive role models. That didn't really work. Yeah. But Emman was a really good kid. He was a sweet kid. He was definitely not an aggressive child. Maybe a little bit too sweet for his own good.
What about how as a student? How was
He struggled as a student. He really did. Even from first grade on, I knew I was going to have a boy who needed to use his hands, instead of sitting at a desk. The way the school system is set up now, I'm not knocking it because it works for the majority of the people. We live in a world where, 80% of the population does just fine.
he?
We don't always address the 20% of the population that I think that my son and a lot of other kids fit into.
Sure.
It's a manipulative learner. They need that manual stimulation. He was, there was not 1 year I could say that was good for him. He hated it. I hated making him go to school. But unfortunately having to work, having not able to homeschool him. We tried Catholic school for a while. Oh God, that didn't work out. We put him in public school, and every year I would hear, he is such a great boy. I'd want to throttle him if he wasn't so sweet. There's never any disrespect, other than the disrespect of not doing his schoolwork. And he goes, I know he's in there. He seems like he's sleeping, but the second I ask a question, he knows the answer. So the kid was very, very smart. I don't know if it was defiance. I don't know what. He read at grade level. He just did not learn that way.
Okay.
I always wanted to get him into the trade school, but you got to carry your grades to get into a place like Whittier. And that didn't happen. We tried keeping him back. That didn't work out. The poor kid was a sophomore and all of his friends were seniors.
Yeah.
And I got him I literally don't know how I did it, but I got him to stay in school up until about 4 months before he would have graduated as a senior. And then he walked out of school. 3 days later, he walked into NECO, took his GED and passed it.
Oh, for crying out loud.
So I don't know. It was really, really, really tough. I didn't have a lot of support.
Okay, so what happened after his experiences in school?
Well, he seemed to fall into trades like carpentry,
Okay.
mechanics. He could
Good
get
with his
under.
hands.
Oh my God! He would get into a car that he had never seen before. He'd take it apart and put it back together in 30 seconds. Like better. He was just very, very
Sure.
good. I have friends who have woodworking in their house from him, staircases, master carpenter without even putting in the years. He just seemed to have an intuitive knowledge.
Some people just.
And but that doesn't really translate well into the school the school system we have set up. I've always said we wish we had a concurrent program that would operate earlier than the high school years, like the trade school, a week in shop, a week at the desk.
True.
But I think I would love to see that start, but not just in high school. I think we need to get it earlier. So anyway, he went from job to job. He couldn't settle. I don't know, a lot of insecurities. He wasn't your big macho, testosterone-ridden guy, but he was quiet. He had a quiet strength about him. His friends used to seek him out for advice a lot, and he was always the kid you gave stuff to hold because you knew you'd get it back. I don't know. Even today, to this day, he had a very good friend, AJ, and his mother and I raised the boys together. They're not biologically related, but they were brothers.
Sure.
They were raised from before they were a year old on. And AJ to this day just is still devastated at Emman's loss. He just had a baby and he gave him Emman's middle name.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, every once in a while I get a phone call and it's a bad night for AJ. And we just listen and reminisce. And he's I'm sitting on the stairs he built for me. And Emman put the staircase in AJ's house.
Yeah.
And they're just stunning. And I run into random people. Hey, he did work in my house, or I remember him. And they're always good stories.
Sure.
So I don't know. We always had the partying. We always had the alcohol and the weed. And at that point, I was, well, it's just weed. Yeah, it's a stage.
I said that.
Yeah, and it was not, the alcohol never really worried me. Nothing. You know what? I'm going to be honest. It didn't worry me at all because my son had a phobia about needles. And I always thought that would keep him away from the stuff that would kill him.
My daughter had a thing about needles too.
Yeah.
So she had friends that were nice enough to inject it for her.
He wouldn't go near it. He wouldn't even let the nurse do it.
Really?
So I'm thinking I'm a little bit safe there. And let me tell you, As far as I know, it was 3 years from start to finish, and he overdosed more times in those 3 years just by snorting it than people I know that inject it.
Exactly, and
So
that's
please.
something yeah, people do have to understand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you snort it, it's not safe.
No, it is not safe.
Especially with the shit
Oh.
that's out there now.
Oh, he used to do. Oh, listen, I a little bit at a time. I can handle it.
Yeah.
It just you can't, dude.
Well, tell me something. What was the progression? And because you said he was only on the fentanyl for like the last 3 years.
Well, I as far as I know,
okay.
Nobody
All
has
right.
informed me differently.
Sure.
And
Okay.
I don't know where the change happened.
Sure.
There was a different crowd.
Yeah.
And he started pulling away from me.
Sure.
And I just, I'm thinking I was always on him about trying to get a little bit more educated and take it a little further as a master carpenter and electrician.
Sure.
But the schoolwork just put him off.
Yeah.
So, I tried to get him into organized sports, but he would play intramural sports because there wasn't any structure.
Mm-hmm.
Structure was just something he did not want. I don't know if you can force that on somebody, but I do realize now the relevance and the importance of organized sports.
Yeah. And it's true. But in all honesty, I always liked the intramural better. It was more fun.
It was. There
was less pressure, less stress.
That's
you played the game.
And it was a game,
was fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And you didn't have people screaming at you because they had to win. And
my kidding!
He definitely did not like that kind of pressure.
Hell, I used to play Little League. My God, if I struck out,
I know
the parents on my team went, "What the hell? You suck!"
And he wouldn't play baseball. He had to play. He played ultimate frisbee because you were constantly running. Or soccer, you were constantly moving.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So I put him on a baseball team, and I will never forget. I turn around and the kid's playing center field, and he's out there sitting down, picking something in the grass, and the coach is like, "Okay, you're done, dude. Get out."
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever really found himself. He never found his footing.
Now let's try to give me an age of when he started maybe drinking and booze.
Teenager. Yep. I found out after the fact that about 13, 14 was when he first started smoking pot.
Yeah. And that's the norm.
I know.
Unfortunately.
And I didn't worry about it though, because true confessions, I was a mom that smoked. So weed. And I never smoked cigarettes. He actually got onto cigarettes. I don't know how that happened. But I want to say the first time I caught him drinking, he was about 16, 17.
Okay.
And
actually,
with the crowd.
That makes him kind of a late bloomer.
Right. Well, I don't know that he didn't. And I'm saying it now, I have had health issues that all through his childhood, I was in and out of surgeries. And I don't. He could have been taking my pills. I don't know it. I didn't know any of this.
And and you're right. Because I'm going to take a wild guess that you weren't as educated about then as you are now.
Oh, grief is clarity, people. You think hindsight is clarity. Grief is really wide open. I see now, and it makes me a little aggressive when I'm dealing with people. So I get a lot of that. Calm down. And I just can't, I can't. You don't see, and people don't, you don't want to see, I was always a good kid, and he was just such a sweetheart.
Well, my daughter has a saying that I always tell everybody. Addicts aren't bad people.
No.
They're good people who end up doing bad things.
I know that. But even through his whole addiction, at one point he was living with me, and I thought as long as he was home, and even into his late teens, early 20s, and then I was always the last to get paid. So I asked him to move out, and I still to this day think that was the wrong thing to do. But
it's hard.
I know
it's hard.
So listen. Any parent who's out there, you second guess yourself. Should I have done this? Should I have done that?
Yeah.
I still wake up in sweats. Maybe that was the wrong decision. Maybe this was the right one. I don't know if that's ever going to go away,
Well, you want to know something? All of us, my daughter, thank God she did find recovery, but we made decisions that were tough.
Yeah.
And, the group I do with now, basically, if a person's not ready to tell them they have to leave, and we never tell them they have to leave. We always
Right.
try to give them options.
Yeah.
You have to leave, but I have resources where we
Yeah.
can get you to a facility.
Correct. Correct.
So, that way, if you're giving them options
yeah.
and they decide not to take your option,
Right.
you feel a little bit better because you hope that, because you always tell them, well, if you change your mind, it's
Yeah.
always here.
I spent a lot of time angry,
Sure,
and
sure.
I do feel that I could have metered my been less judgy. I disciplined the way I was brought up in a strict Irish
Sure.
household.
Yeah.
You hold that line and you don't break down. And I'm learning now that maybe it's not such a good thing to do.
Well, and the thing is, because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Because I was as naive as they come.
Right.
But what we learn now is it's a disease. They're sick.
Yeah.
And you can't just push a button and make them stop. You can't shame them to stop.
No.
You can't love them to
Yeah.
stop.
And you can't be angry.
No.
Because it isn't your fault.
No.
But you definitely have to. You got to have a little give, and I didn't have any. I really didn't. I was too busy. I consider it selfish. I was too busy being mad to see out there. It really it sucked everything out of me. And single parenthood is even worse. I'm working 60, 70-hour work weeks, or I was, like I said, in surgeries. This kid spent a lot of time on his own, and I didn't have a support system that I would have preferred.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't think he had an identity. I think he was still struggling to find himself right up until when he died.
Yeah.
He just gave up on himself.
And again, don't be hard on yourself because you didn't know anything about, they don't make it easy for parents to be informed.
No.
And parents that parents don't want, they're all members of the Not My Kid Club.
I said, you won't go near that stuff.
That's right.
I just never even considered snorting.
No, well,
I just didn't. It was always needles.
When I found out my daughter was onto heroin, I said, people like us don't do that.
I know. Hello.
All right. Yeah.
Hello. I don't know. I think I was blind. It was a self-preservation thing, but I really never thought we would graduate to the hard drugs. And then he got in. It wasn't so much a certain crowd. He fell in love, and they made it okay for each other to be okay with everything, and it's not a blame on her.
No.
Because unfortunately she lost her life as well.
Yeah.
But he loved her.
Sure.
And I fought so much to put the blame on everybody else in his life. I didn't put any of the blame on him.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to use the word blame, but I never held him accountable. It was always because of somebody else.
Sure.
And that's not the truth.
And the thing is, show me a parent that doesn't.
I know.
All right.
But I always wish that they would break up. I never, ever, ever wanted her to lose her life. And I was just as devastated when she died. She was just about a year and a half ago.
Oh, so she died after him.
She did. And apparently
she could never find
that love again.
Just out of curiosity, did you have any contact with her after?
No. I was angry. And I blamed everybody on the planet.
Sure.
And I was mad. And her mother, they're actually old family friends, and I didn't speak with any of them. We've actually reconnected.
Wow.
And after she passed away, and we're friends, and in a common war here, common battle. She's running her own little campaign, and she lost his girlfriend. She had a daughter by another. It wasn't my son's.
Right.
But there's a little girl out there now with no mom. And it's just the toll that this is taking is horrible. And I didn't expect to feel so horrible when she passed.
Oh.
And I realized I really wasn't angry at her. I was angry at the situation, and that maybe if I had been a little bit more patient, a little bit more understanding, I could have brought them into the fold. But
you want to know, like I said, What you know now,
Ugh.
you didn't know then.
No, and I'm teaching it though.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what. Like I said, I didn't lose my daughter. If I did, I don't know if I could do with people like you and Doug Griffin and Betsy Cody and all these. I don't
Yeah.
know if I would have had the courage. I don't know if I would have crawled in a hole. I don't know. I don't know what I would have done. I mean, the things I've done over the last few years, I'm proud of myself,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I would have had the guts to do what you guys have done.
Well, it doesn't mean we don't. I don't know about those people, but it doesn't mean I don't want to crawl in a hole every day.
I get it.
And I still struggle to get out of bed most mornings. I still lay awake all night long, rethinking every decision I ever made.
Oh yeah.
And what gets me up is that I am determined to change it for another family, help somebody else do this. And I think, the universe gives and she takes, and she had to take somebody. I don't like the fact that it was my son, but she certainly picked the right person, because I'm going to battle with this. I'm going to do it.
All right, tell me, when did you realize that your boy was really crossing the line?
It was probably about a year and a half before he passed. He had moved out and he stopped talking to me. And, I'm thinking, oh, well, because I'm being bitchy. I hope I can say that.
No, you can't. You can't. But the show's over, Lou.
No,
She just
good.
crossed the line. That's it.
It's all good.
Wait,
In
I
fact,
haven't
like
even
it.
gotten to the F-bombs yet. Come on. The FCC's going to be knocking at your door.
No, we've had that too.
Oh, good gravy. No, and I knew I was losing him. And I kept thinking to her, and I was losing him to the drug, still in denial. When he overdosed the first time, and she called me, and I started screaming at her.
Of course.
I got so mad at her. And, the answer I got back was, well, what are you mad at me for? I saved his life. And well, I'm like, wait, but this is, where you guys are in a codependency here, and you're making it okay for all of this to happen for both of you.
Sure.
And I get that, but that was when he would.
All right, honey. Take
He
your
wouldn't
time.
let me in the emergency room to see him because I was
no.
being mean to his girlfriend.
Oh boy.
And I said, and the nurses couldn't let me in because he was an adult.
Yep.
And they were looking at me crying. I know what I just can't let you in because my patient is saying no. And then I knew I was on a walker. I had just gotten out of surgery, and still nobody could help me. And I knew at that point I was losing him. I just didn't think it would be forever. So it was a battle after that. And then he overdosed again. And I didn't see him for months at a time. And then he would come home and he would be beaten up because he had gotten into a fight with somebody at the house. And then he would leave again for months. And I just never thought I would never get him back, And then he started getting arrested. And he ended up coming home, and I threw him out. January, February. It was 2 degrees, and he was on the street. And I can't even tell you what it took me to throw him out because he was so bad when he came in. But it's what jerked him to what I thought was going to be a long period of being clean, and he ended up going into a program.
Okay.
So I thought, well, that wasn't so bad after all. But he ended up going into places, very short-term detox.
Yeah.
And then he ended up at the Pine Street Inn in Boston, which it's a place for people to go. But when I tell you, it's the most dreary, depressing thing ever. I remember chasing him around Boston. He had, I know he had a phone, and I know he could do Facebook, but the phone didn't have minutes. So I'd be sending out messages on Facebook. I'm coming to get you.
So he never really experienced any what you would call long-term recovery?
No, I'd say months.
Oh.
It was, a couple months.
Yeah.
I mean, which we which is where we were when the day he died.
Sure.
He literally died twice that day. So I like to think that you died twice, it's your day. Um, he had come home. We've been doing really well, so I thought. He had been working with his friend.
Hmm. Now, your relationship had improved with him then?
Well, yeah,
Well,
I thought it had.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought it had. So, but I really wasn't delving into it. I wasn't. I was kind of keeping him a little bit at arm's bay because I was terrified. I didn't know what was going to happen. Oh my God, I'd be blocking his friends on his phone when he wasn't looking, and he'd take them, unblock them because I didn't want them to reach out. And oh, they just wouldn't let him go. They would not let him stay clean, and they kept pulling at him and pulling at him and pulling at him, and he just wasn't in a position to say no all the time.
No, well, you have to understand,
I
it
know.
is such a powerful
Yeah, I know.
drug.
And it's not. I kept trying. It's not about love, dude. They just need somebody next to them doing the drugs.
And the thing is, it's not, after a while, it's not even about
No,
getting high.
He
It's
said
just
that.
about not getting sick.
And that I can't tell you how many times he said that.
Sure.
But we had a run, and he was supposed to go to work one Saturday morning, and it was raining, and he was working construction, so there was no work. And he said, Mom, he loved to walk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going for a walk. And I said, great, clear your head, come on back, we'll do this. I had just talked him into getting a mattress for himself because he was sleeping on the floor, and he kept telling me, Mom, the floor is good enough for me. I know the floor is not good enough for you. So I'm going to go get a mattress. And apparently I had coffee. I was sitting in my chair. And the next thing I know, I'm scrolling Facebook, and there is my son overdosing on a bridge in Lawrence. Is how I found out that we weren't going to get a mattress. And then everybody's messaging me, sending me this. Is this Emman? Is this Emman? And I'm looking at him, and there was somebody kneeling by him. There were more people filming him.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how we've gotten to that point where that's entertainment. But apparently, off camera, the ambulance showed up, and they were able to Narcan him and get him back. But I don't know the circumstances of, did he make it to the hospital? Did he run away? But I do know that he came home. He still had product on him. Because he came in and we started fighting, and I did not handle it well at all. I flipped a nut, and now I realize I should have dealt with it at another time. And then he saw the video on Facebook, and you'll never convince me. He went up to his room and used the rest of what he had bought all at once.
Yeah.
And there's no way he didn't know he wasn't gonna. There's no way you can convince me he didn't know he wasn't gonna die. And it was about he had gone upstairs, and it was about half an hour later I realized I should say something to him, because when he walked by me, I didn't say anything. And by the time I went up to tell him that I loved him, it was too late. So you got to say that when you think to say it. And I walked in the room, and he was dead. And I knew my career was a nurse, and I assessed him. There's a Glasgow, the GCS of 3, which is a rating scale of, for consciousness. And I knew it was over. Mm-hmm. He was starting to turn blue. He had been gone for half an hour. And I tried, I was sitting on top of him, just watching his eyes. They're open, and it was trying to get the vomit out of his throat so I could breathe for him. And he was a big kid. He was on an air mattress. CPR wasn't working. It was the most horrible thing I've ever done in my life. And when they came, everybody's face told me. We knew he was gone. And I said, you know what? It's not going to be for nothing. You're going to get a heartbeat back, and we're going to give this kid his last wish because he's an organ donor. And I understood that the circumstances of an addict's use can't allow for that. So we were able to, the fire department in Haverhill they worked hard. They got a heartbeat back for me. And then we got him into Boston, Mass General, and they worked on him for hours to stabilize him. And about 3 days later, they were able to take 5 of his organs, his heart, his kidneys, his pancreas, and his liver. Were the only things that we could salvage. But there are 5 people out there who benefited from his life. So it makes me feel good. It gets me up every day, you know.
I'll tell you what. We're gonna take a little breather.
Okay, sorry.
No. You just kind of you went through. You just explained the worst thing that can happen to any parent, and the way it happened with you even magnifies it. But we're going to come back, and like I say, if people want to call in, we'd love to hear from you, and we're going to talk about what happens after.
Okay.
We'll be right back, folks. Hang in there.
Haven of Hope is a faith-based 12-step recovery home for women seeking a loving and structured lifestyle to help them persevere over addiction. Our sober living house offers women an opportunity to gain life skills, coping mechanisms, and personal growth so they may return to their home or working field as productive members of society. Haven of Hope's approach is based on fostering a structured, faith-based life with a core component being the 12 steps from the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, for with God, all things are possible. Contact Haven of Hope at havenofhopemethuen.org or call 978-258-3982. That's 978-258-3982, or visit us at 82 Union Street in Methuen.
Hi there. My name's Phil Leahy, and I do the Empty Chair show here. And as much as Fran and I have enjoyed doing this show, our real passion is with where it all began, the Circle of Hope, my support group for the families of addicts. I learned a long time ago that dealing with an active addict is just too difficult. So we invite you to join our group, the Circle of Hope. Give me a call, 978-886-2949, and you'll see our banner on the show anyway. And give me a call, find out what it's all about. You know, if you don't think you're ready to sit into a group, Fran and I always invite people over to the house, and we sit down, have a one-on-one, and we talk about a plan you'll have to set up, how to deal with someone in active addiction, or just give you a chance to vent. So, I mean, if you or someone you know has dealing with someone in active addiction, reach out, give a call, take the first step. I promise you that it won't make it easier, but once you understand what it's all about, you'll be able to deal with it a little bit better. So again, 978-886-2949. Just ask for Phil. I'm always available 24/7. Thanks, and we'll see you on the Empty Chair. Bye-bye. All right, we are back. Helen just went 3 rounds with Lou in the back there, and
I won.
Yeah, she won. She's back, and now he's using the tissues to cry.
No, I didn't hurt you. You liked it.
Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk to Helen about the aftermath. No one should have to go through what she did. And, oh, by the way, phones are open. You guys want to give us a call. You want to say hello to Helen. I'm sure she'd love to hear from you. All righty. Okay, young lady.
Aftermath.
Yeah.
Well,
you know
I
what?
am in
let
battle
me
here.
let me just ask you one question, because I know this is how I deal with parents who are with active. I kind of give them advice. I kind of tell them about all the mistakes I've made.
Yeah.
Now, when you deal with people, how do you deal with it?
I tell them the first thing, the shame's got to stop. If I had not been so embarrassed or took the fault on myself, I would have asked for help. And I do think that we would have been talking a different story. Don't be ashamed of your child. You know, you really can't be. We are, as parents, you got to take credit for the Olympian that you raised.
Yeah.
Well, you got to take credit for the other one too.
And you know what? Don't try to deal with it yourself.
No,
Reach out for
God,
help.
no.
There's a lot of organizations out
Yeah.
there. You're one of them now.
I am now. Emmans
Yes,
Heart
you are.
Foundation. And we're teaching. Right now we're in the education. I want to teach people to you gotta use love. You gotta use patience. You can't use anger. You
No.
can't. It doesn't work. It didn't work when they were 3. You get mad at them and they just got more defiant. Well, it doesn't work
No,
here
it doesn't.
either. You got to bite your tongue a lot. Doesn't mean you don't have to hold the line and be strong, though. You have to stick to your guns, but you absolutely must not do it yourself. We have to talk about it. His obituary, I still have people tell me I said too much, and I didn't embarrass him at all. I want people to know what a beautiful child he was, and he just got lost in
Yep.
his addiction. And I said it right there.
Well, if he died from cancer
Well,
and you put that down, would that be a shameful thing?
no,
Of
no,
course
it isn't.
not.
So this is the whole point. You can't. We've got to stop looking at it as shamefully. That's the only way. It's got to get out there. You have to talk about it, and it's not a parenting fail, people. It is just not.
Yeah.
And
Well,
we have to stop looking at
if
that
it's
way.
anything, and like I said, especially now, please, if you know somebody who is dealing with somebody that's having a problem,
Yes.
there's numbers on this you can call. Please reach out. It is impossible to deal with someone you love more than anything on your own.
You can't. Listen, your kids having trouble in school, you got the whole school system behind you. This is the same way, and families need to stick together. I was literally in this battle alone.
Yeah.
And you can't. There isn't a war out there that has been won by one single person. It's always an army, and
Sure.
that's what we need.
I like the expression, it takes a village.
It takes a village.
Yeah.
It takes more than that these days.
Yeah, I'm afraid it does.
It takes a whole planet to beat this, but we have to be in it together. A concerted effort, and everybody has to know everything and be on board, and the rules have to be set, and everybody has to hold to them. But
well, now over the last couple of years, you've turned into a real wild woman. Why don't you tell us about some of the things you're doing?
I started an organization, and because we're able to give his organs, his heart being one of them, I called it Emmans Heart Foundation for Prevention and Recovery. And I am determined to educate. I have this thought that we don't pay attention to it early enough. We don't teach the skills or identify kids' talents. We don't teach them how to redirect whatever it is that's stressing them out towards doing art, dance, mechanics. We don't teach other skills. If you got a headache, you go for a pill. We wait till kids are in high school to see if there's a problem. Some kids have problems, some kids don't. Some kids get through it, some kids don't. I don't think we should wait that long. And I don't necessarily think we should come at kids like 2, 3, 4, and 5 with drugs. But I think that behavioral management, teaching them the skills they need instead of just immediately quick fixing.
Yeah.
To teach them how to de-stress and take the time for themselves, meditate, as you will. As adults, everybody's advocating that, and I never had that. And I look at you like you're crazy. What do you mean, sit still?
Well,
No, no, I can't sit still.
My mentor, Joe Cotton, who used to kind of run the Circle of Hope meetings,
Yeah.
and he was very big into meditation, and he'd bring in a tape or whatever like that.
Oh boy.
All right, and everybody loved it, but me after 10 minutes, I'm. So after that, he only brought in 5-minute meditation
I know.
tapes.
People tell me that all the time, that I literally just signed up for yoga. I'm going to do hot yoga, and I'm literally going to sit in a hot room still. But it's just not the way I was raised.
Yeah.
And I think if we pay attention to teaching skills, a human being, the skills they need a lot earlier, that will develop into a habit. By the time they're in high school, that's 16, 17 years of setting habits. And if you know anything about breaking a habit, it takes as long to break one as it does to build one.
If not longer.
So, right. And before you can teach them to not do it, you have to unteach them.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think behavioral, paying attention to behaviors a lot earlier in life.
Well, I'll tell you, the schools, for the most part, the schools are trying to, not enough. There's actually,
No.
there should be a curriculum.
They're limited by funds too.
Yeah. Well, not
unfortunately.
really.
Well,
The money is out there.
Yeah.
It just
Depends on
doesn't
where it
go to the
goes. I
right.
know.
Yeah. Don't get me started
No,
on
I
that.
know. I make sorry.
Yeah. But, but I know there are schools, Methuen, the Greater Lawrence Tech, they have counselors. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
are they doing enough? No, not really. But at least they bring the subject up.
Oh, yeah.
But the ones that we have to get to are the parents.
Well,
And it's so hard.
This new classification, the new the oil, the THC oils and the vaping pens. We were talking about that earlier. They are literally able to sit in a classroom and puff and pull on that thing without the teacher knowing it, because there's no smell anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell like weed. And they have the vaping, they have the vape detectors in the bathroom, but by the time the teacher gets there, the person's gone. They can't put cameras in the bathroom.
Right.
I mean, we should, how about we not make it smell pretty? How about we make it smell like THC? Then less opportunity. But to hear that they are literally sitting in a classroom and able to take a hit off of that pen, what teaches that, there's a tiny puff of smoke. It's too disguised,
Well, just to interrupt, I'm not like Cole. I can't read all the comments, but there are some amazing comments here.
Yes.
Heather, Barbara
Dudley. I agree with her.
Yeah.
It should start in kindergarten,
Yes,
when
they
your
should.
children are learning and developing their habits.
But there's so many of you making comments. Again, if you want to give us a quick call, you can do that too. But I appreciate the feedback you're putting up.
Yep.
And this lady here, when she sees all of these coming in, she just seems to.
I know.
I don't think she's going to need tissues the rest of the day.
I'm energized. This whole thing energizes me. I haven't lost any energy yet. I haven't lost any steam. And I get pushed back a lot of times because I am very aggressive and I will get in your face.
Oh, see, I'm not like that at all.
No, you are. And I know that's why we're friends. I don't sit down. I'm not quiet.
Yeah.
I never have been. So you can either help me or you can listen to me, because I'm only going to get louder. And I say it all the time. I get called very bad names. She's too aggressive. She's a bully. I've been called a bully.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, and that's like, I am so against bullying, but
well, you know what? I'm going to have to put you in the further chair. I'm starting to get afraid.
No.
Okay.
Joan of Narcan here.
Yeah.
The Narcan training classes.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. We have a lot of things we want to do, but we launched 2 series. We're going to do Narcan trainings. We have partnered with Mass General Brigham Bridge Clinic in Haverhill. And we have
we're going to interrupt you.
Okay.
We got a phone call. Why don't you grab who do we got?
You're selling me something. I have no money.
Go ahead, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Hi, how are you?
Oh, Heather, I haven't seen you for ages. So nice to hear from you.
I know. Hey, I'm still kicking around. You know
Yeah.
that, Bill.
Yeah.
I do have to say, when I saw that Helen was on the show, I'm actually, my heart's like racing, because the day that it happened on the bridge, it showed up on my timeline, and it just like shook me.
Yeah.
And, Helen and we were corresponding through Messenger. So that day, her and I were going back on Messenger, and I was just rereading it, and it just, Helen, I have to say, I have to thank you for, all that you're doing now. This isn't getting any better.
No,
really
it's
isn't.
not. And I'm going to get in touch with Mark Zuckerberg one of these days and talk to him, because we tried to get that taken down, but apparently it didn't violate their community standards. But sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No. So what I was going to say, I still work in the field, and, there's been so many changes. I've been in the field since 2011. I used to do outreach. But, the biggest thing is there's so much stigma, and unfortunately, the not my kid, not my family member still occurs constantly. And I try to tell people, you don't know you don't know what your neighbors are doing. You really don't. I left a traditional facility because I don't feel the facilities or treatment programs do enough. because you get the effect of, you know, when someone comes out and they go home. I call it the now what effect. So I actually work for a company. I go into people's homes. So we actually change the house into the physical treatment center. So I've been doing that because what our program does is the family has to be involved.
Yes.
Like, you can't shy away from it. Like, you can't hide from this.
No.
You know, when I got sober, you know, it was tough. I mean, even to this day, like, you know, I'm very transparent. People will tell you that. If I'm in a store and I hear stories all the time about addicts. I hate that word. And I have no issue in line saying, hey, guess what? You're talking about me.
Yeah.
And I take offense to that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I have to thank you. I have to commend you for what you're doing. You're such a strong woman. I'm going to have to check out your foundation. I'm actually working on my own project right now. I'm not going to blurt it out because I have somebody doing a logo, but I'm hoping to come across and like doing something with the stigma. You know, like for me, you know, even alcoholism, you know, it's like, let's make the, you know, the next cocktail a mocktail. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and people, and most times it's, you know, people are quick to blame friends. Well, they're all ill. They all have a disease. It's like we all feed off each other. I mean, I know opioids, I'm 17 and a half years sober. Alcohol, 13 and a half years sober. Alcohol came much later. I was a late bloomer, 42 years old. I'm now 56. Like,
that's
so
called
I mean, I
harm
commend
reduction,
you.
though. Did you know that? It's harm reduction, and it doesn't always have to be cold turkey. You just gradually do it step by step.
No.
Hey,
No, because I work.
Heather, let me tell you something. There's a reason why you're successful in what you do, because unfortunately, like so many others that don't, you have a passion for substance misuse. You have a passion for the disease that it is, and it's not a 9-to-5 job for you. You know, I admire people like you and Cole Welch and my daughter, people who have an absolute passion. And whenever I see somebody who works in the field that has that, it does my heart good. And whenever I see people in the field who are just going through the motions, then I get equally upset.
Oh yeah, because you know, I'm one of those that say that. You know, it's like, if you don't want to be in this field, get out of it.
Absolutely,
you're doing harm. You're doing harm. You know,
burnout is high here.
Yeah, I'm gonna not take up more time, but I did have to call in.
Yeah.
Phil, thank you.
Oh, you kidding
for
me?
what you do.
Yeah, we love you, Heather.
I love you too, and Helen, I love you too, and I review that message back and forth because that was like a whole overnight thing. And
I
you're
read
awesome.
It. Thank you.
You're awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Have a great night.
Thanks, Heather.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice lady.
Yes.
A really nice lady.
She was amazing the day it happened. I went back when she reached out this time. I didn't really remember her until I went back.
Sure.
And I had so many people reach out. I mean, just every day. I mean, you know what's out there on the internet. And the person who did post it, actually somebody went to their front door and we took it down. And but the person who shared it actually educated, bachelor's degree. So I don't understand how it was an acceptable thing. And we didn't see we weren't friends with the person who took it. We were friends with the person who shared it. And that's the one we saw.
Yeah.
And, you know, upstanding member of society, journalist. I don't understand. And their take was, well, we were just teaching people. Well, you didn't do that. You totally humiliated a human being at his lowest point when he needed us the most. And that is what we have to realize. You're not teaching anybody anything. It's a bullying tactic. And I was horrified, and my son was horrified. Sure. And you will never convince me that did not drive him upstairs.
You want to know something? I remember the last time my daughter overdosed, she was at that point where she overdosed on purpose. And the only reason that she is still breathing is that she did that in a McDonald's restroom.
Somebody found her.
Yeah, they came in to clean her and they kicked her out and said, you
Yeah.
effing junkie.
Oh,
But
God,
they
I hate
called an
that word.
ambulance
I know.
and saved her life.
I hate
So
that word. too.
whoever that woman is that threw her out probably doesn't realize that she saved my daughter's life.
I know. Well, we're trying to do that. Like I was starting to say, we are running Narcan training classes,
Right,
and the
but-
first one was incredibly successful.
Yeah.
We have applied to become an agency in the city that will be able to distribute the Narcan. And we have actually partnered with the Human Services Program at Northern Essex, and we will be training their classes as well, April 11th. There is an Eventbrite up, and it is open to the public. And we have another training that is going to be taking place June 12th up in Mount Washington area of
Wow.
Haverhill, which is right where, I mean, you've got kids living with parents that are addicted up there. So we will be training the kids.
Yep.
There's no age limit on having Narcan because there's no resale value. You can't get high, and it only works as an opiate antagonist. But it is legal for kids to have it. And there are some states that are training like 6 and 7-year-old kids how to use it just to keep parents going. I mean, it's horrible, the
Yeah.
statistics. Every time I look them up, I want to present them on that whiteboard when I do my events, and they're horrifying. I don't even know which ones to pick. But so we have 3 scheduled, and we're working. The city of Haverhill, the mayor's office has been really good. They're behind the Narcan training. When we need more, they're going to help us get it. And we, our organization, myself, have been asked to sit on 2 committees, where the advisory committee, where we will help distribute the $750,000 that he has set aside for the youth activities and mental health programs.
Yeah.
And I've also been asked to sit on a sort of an advisory task force around opiate addiction overdose.
Sure.
So I like the fact that we're being brought in.
I'll tell you what, yeah, and try to get them to spend some of that money on education and awareness.
Well,
Please.
you can listen. The money, he's not developing the programs. He gave the money out there, so it is now open.
Mhm.
Go on the Haverhill website, please.
Okay.
You can write a program and apply for money for this. This isn't just about activities.
Okay.
This is about mental health program. This is about education, drug education. NFI has been partnering more with the city now than I've ever seen them before. They have a substantial amount of fund for education. I believe cannabis education and prevention.
Yeah.
So the city is really stepping up its efforts.
Hey, Mayor Perry, did you hear that? I know you got
Yeah,
a ton of
listen.
money. We would love to help you spend it.
Listen, call Mayor Fiorentini right now. There's some great programs that they have initiated.
Tell me something. Now I'm going to put the bite on you.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Do you think you could get MVP ASAP in to see the mayor?
Well, I can believe I have a connection with the secretary there.
Yes.
And I just
so do I.
I know. Well, why not? Why don't we see if we can get
I'd
you to
like
the table?
To do that. Yeah.
I have recently become active with the Lawrence Methuen Community Coalition,
Yeah.
and I am in their Zoom meetings on
Sure.
Tuesdays,
Mhm.
and we're working to get them because the mayor said he would like to meet with them.
By the way,
So-
Lawrence Methuen,
Community Coalition.
yeah, Harold Magoon, they're one of our sponsors.
Well, he's the one who is, he is on my list. Luz Casado, Ana Javier, and Harold Magoon are all slated to be in that meeting. I just got to get a
Wonderful.
time slot when everybody can get together.
Sure.
So we are working on it, and I will be happy to.
Yeah, do a little name dropping for us.
Well, I have no problem with that. The One Stop program out of Gloucester was generous enough that we are able to provide the Narcan free for our
Yeah.
Narcan training classes.
Yeah.
It's not just education. You leave with a Narcan kit
Yeah,
and
see,
everything you need.
My problem is I get invited to a lot of meetings.
Well, you have to sit and shut up, Phil.
Yeah, I can't do that. That's why
Ah.
I never get invited back.
Well, I don't know when the next one is, but when we left this last meeting, he said, we'll see you all here next month.
Sure.
So there's no reason I can't mention you. All he can tell me
Absolutely.
is no,
Yeah, all I can.
but
Okay.
I
Well,
don't think he will.
I hear no a lot.
No.
I can live with that. You know what? We only got a couple of
Okay,
minutes.
sure.
What I would like you to do is just in your own words, kind of finish up. What do you have bits of information or advice, or just something you want to say to Emman?
To my son,
Yeah.
oh, I miss you. And I hate that it was you. But I think the universe, unfortunately, picked the right person because I'm going to fight for you. And I'm going to fight for kids. I know that you loved kids. And I loved kids. And I think that between the two of us, because he guides me every day, I want to show you. Do I have him with me? I don't have, yes, I do have him with me. He's right here. I want you to know that I talk to you every day. And whenever I'm having a rough day, I grab this. This is his ashes. And I gave out a lot of these. So he's everywhere. You are in the river where you love to fish. And this week, this summer, I'm going to Saco, and you're going to be in the Saco River where you love to float. So every day you're thought of. Every day somebody tells me a story about you, and it's all good. So just know that your life was short, but it's going to continue through the organs you donated and through the work that I am inspired to do. Because I don't think you made a name for yourself. And I think that that's what my job is to make a name for you. And I think it would have been a good one if you were here, son. I miss you a lot.
And folks, listen, I've said this about a lot of the people that I've met who have unfortunately gone through the same thing that Helen has. And I'm going to say it to you too. I wish I never met you.
Oh, good God. I
'Cause
hear that a lot.
If I never, no,
do.
if I never met you, that means
Oh,
Emman
okay.
would still
Yeah.
be with us.
You know, don't blame yourself, parents, but you got to pay attention, and please do yourself and your children a favor and stop saying "not my kid." Emmensheart.org. You'll see the work we're doing. We have a seminar series I didn't get to talk about. The first
Yeah.
one Phil was at. Addressed addiction, and I wanted to get the definition of addiction out there and how it is not a choice. It is absolutely neurological. It's a disease. There's biology to it. And the next one we're going to address early education and life pathways, and how getting to kids a lot earlier is going to give them better choices further in life. So
and you'll be able to see that on the MVP
Yeah,
page
yeah,
because we share
yeah.
it with everyone.
and we're going to we have another one. We are rally up in Mount Washington. We are working with NOMSA and Cube and The Verge at Somebody Cares New England. And that one is going to be healthy minds, healthy kids, how to redirect the trauma response creatively with art and dance. And so we're just we want to educate
Yeah,
people.
and she's doing all that before dinner.
No.
All right, guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I've always enjoyed having people like Helen come in and share their stories. I know it has an amazing impact. So on behalf of me and Helen, MVP ASAP, and all of the families that have lost loved ones, we'll see you next month again on the Empty Chair. Bye-bye.
Emman says bye too.